Be Yours. It's actually inspired when I was standing in the middle of the jungle in Matang. It's a song called Green Lady. I think at that point, I remember looking around and enjoying nature and the sounds. Then suddenly I saw one of the red bridges, you see at Matang. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the red bridge and Matang itself, but it occurred to me that what if one day, places like these don't exist anymore? Or what if we encroach into the forest more and more? And the Green Lady is about Mother Nature. I felt like she was kind of calling back.
And what has the response been so far, John, to this particular album?
So far, I'd say we are really encouraged, especially when we get feedback from people we never thought would appreciate our music, like young people who are so exposed to what they see on MTV and what they hear on radio is really a lot of stuff from abroad, or stuff that sounds the same, or is a particular hot thing now. So people like that, when we see young people coming up and telling us about the lyrics and about the music, it's really very encouraging. So far we have been surprised a lot, and I think that's a good thing.
Now, you brought up a very good point there, John, about trends that's going on. Why is it that you were not told, John, if you're going to make it big, we want you to follow this trend. We want to follow this particular sound. And if anyone were to ask you, John, you have to do that if you want to make it big, what would your answer be to that?
Before we started embarking on promoting this album, I had a chance to talk to some people who have industry experience. I won't take the stand that, I'm very noble or anything, right. But there's nothing wrong with that in itself if you want to write music that's more commercial, that's more pop music. But my expectation at the time was to come up with something that is real to me. At least for this first album, I wanted people to know who Jon Chong or what Jon Chong is about. Of course, if I write songs for other things like more commercial projects, there's nothing wrong. It's a good thing, actually. It's a good opportunity. But I wanted to push out something which I felt was really mine first, get people to know who I am.
And let's say after this, in a few years' time, when you're ready to release a second album, any idea what that's going to be like? Have you already started planning for that?
My second album, I do have songs that I wanted to squeeze into this first album, but I didn't have the chance. A second album, I really don't know how it would come out, how it will sound. It depends probably that stage of my life. Maybe I feel like doing something different or just keeping it the same. So long as I remain true to myself, I think that's what will be the common thing in all my albums.
If I were to ask you, based on what you just said and everything, where do you see Jon Chong in a few years' time? This also relates to the question of your goals. Where would you see career-wise? Where would Jon Chong be in about, 5, 10, 15 years from now?
I see myself writing music that hasn't stopped for the past decade or so. I still see myself creating my own music, making it available, but I also see myself being able to write for other things. Let's say songs for a movie or songs for a commercial kind of project. But I think I would probably keep producing music that is distinctly Jon Chong.
What would you say to a young person that comes up to you and say, I've seen you perform, I like your music and all that, and I want to do it too, but I'm not too sure where to start?
If you say, I don't know where to start, I am assuming he writes songs and plays music. I guess you got to keep writing songs. I think you have to manage your expectations. Not every song you write or everything that you feel sounds good would sound good to 10 other people. But that doesn't really matter. If what you're doing is really to capture your thoughts, capture your experiences, don't let what others tell you stop you from doing that. But if you're really serious about writing songs that you want to hear on the radio or that make commercially successful, you have to talk to people who have done it or who have been there before. And most certainly you will be disappointed at some point. Someone will give you false hope or someone would tell you something that discourages you. You got to take that with a pinch of salt, keep persevering. Because even my own experience, I had a lot of setbacks, lack of resources, 10 people telling you different things. So you got to know what you really want to do.
What happens when that happens, when 10 different people tells you 10 different things? Does that hold you back somehow?
Initially, I didn't take that very well, as in, I'm a person who, I guess, I trust people quite easily. I tend to assume, give them the benefit of the doubt, assume that, they have my best interest in mind. But after a while, I've learned that you've got to ask yourself what you're really about, what your heart tells you, and then just stay with that conviction. So if you really believe that you can write songs that are commercially successful, you just keep doing it. Keep doing it until a certain point where either you find out that, reality sinks in, that, or maybe you're not really meant to do that, which is fine. At least you gave it your best shot. I think at the end, we owe ourselves to just give it our best shot. But if you make it, then it's a really good thing. But at the end of the day, songwriting is really tough to say whether a song will sell a million records, or nowadays it's...
Yeah, I guess you can never know what songs will sell. Huh?
Yeah, you never know. Like some YouTube video, something you think it's weird, but a million people think it's not.